Welcome to the third annual
Yeah.
Head in the Office question and answer, Q&A for those that need an abbreviation.
Person of Interest, episode 3, us.
Mm-hmm.
So that's cool. That's good. I'm here to answer your questions.
And I think we're people that are interesting.
I think so too. And clearly, you almost think that a little bit.
Yeah, so this is our Q&A episode. Thank you for all of you that submitted questions. We got a bunch to go through here. We'll try to get to them all. Unclear if we'll be able to.
Yes.
Priority given to patrons, of course, because you are the people that make this podcast possible.
Make the world go around. The whole world rotates around you.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of talk of TikTok, and of course TikTok is our main platform that we've garnered an audience on, but I'd be remiss if I did not say thank you to all of you that have continued to listen to the show, that have donated to the show or come out for live streams or become a patron or whatever. We couldn't do it without you.
Yeah, it is incredibly hard to get people to jump from one platform to another, and you guys clearly all did it, so that's great.
And we are very grateful for that. This show could not have gone on as long as it has if we didn't have this sort of a financial benefit or financial incentive to do so. So we are very grateful for all of you, and as such, we are rewarding you with a bonus episode, first releasing on Patreon. But if you're listening to this on like Apple Podcasts or Spotify or whatever, you could have listened earlier.
That's true.
Over on patreon.com/headintheofficepod. That's the only plug we'll do right now. But,
and just to extend my gratitude to y'all just even further, it's like I only have to have one embarrassment. I just have to run around with the embarrassment of, yes, I am a white guy with a politics podcast.
Yep.
I don't have to walk around and say I'm a white guy with a politics podcast that's failing.
Exactly.
So
precisely.
That's pretty good,
We're
think.
doing better than we ever have, frankly.
Exactly,
Especially now that TikTok's back online as of like an hour ago. But yeah, thank you for all the support over the years. Here's to the Trump regime. But let's get right into this Q&A again. We'll try to get to all of these here. This first one is from Hoodie. They ask, do you think there will be a revolt of Americans leaving social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, due to the TikTok ban? Maybe a sort of outdated question at this point. Also, do you condemn Hamas and all political violence like I do? Second question first. Yes.
Of course.
Of course I do.
Why would I stop condemning Hamas and all political violence?
Will there be a revolt? Let's say if TikTok is eventually fully banned at some point, which might happen under the Trump administration. No, I don't think people will ultimately boycott the meta services.
90 days, fucking Gen Z, January 6th.
Yeah, we're storming the Capitol. No, I think people will probably stay on those platforms.
I think so too.
I think they'll probably get more users, honestly.
I was gonna say I think that's exactly what's gonna happen. That's what the fucking stocks, the investment things are indicating, and also influencers need a place to go.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah. You got this next one here.
This next question from Sean from the hellscape of Oklahoma. With climate change bringing ever more weather catastrophes, such as the LA wildfires and Hurricane Helene, as well as the coverage that Luigi Mangione brought to health insurance, do you see any federal policy changes happening on any type of changes to private insurance through policy implementation? Also, what games have y'all been playing lately?
Bro got a twofer.
The bro got a twofer. I'm gonna say straight up no federally.
Yeah.
With what we're working with, which is nothing. We can't even work with all the Democrats that we have.
Yeah.
I cannot see anything good happening to insurance federally. And also when we consider just the backlash from legislators in the Capitol class when it came to the United Healthcare thing.
Yeah. And like I get the spirit of the question. Like there's this very obvious and explicit and violent outburst from Luigi allegedly against the CEO of a major healthcare company that is known for denying people. Or on the flip side, there's these massive wildfires that are very in your face, very violent, represent something extreme.
And we're watching as insurance companies canceled policies right before the fire started.
Yeah, and these insurance companies keep fucking people over repeatedly. So will these sort of acts or events encourage change? Ultimately, no, because one, the wildfires, it's in L.A., and L.A., well, we can see the conservatives trying to withdraw concessions from it right now, or like impose, what do you call it, just like requirements on the aid that they give them, conditioning aid, But with the Luigi stuff, the problem is with these systems is like, yeah, he killed a CEO, but someone else will just replace him. Like the system continues to churn and continues to produce the same results. You need a sort of structural assessment. And to get there, I think you need a structural pushback, which would be, electing someone like Bernie Sanders, which we never did.
And it's like there is a moment, but the people who are entering office are not built to meet that moment. Yeah. And I just don't think the moment's big enough.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah, unfortunately. What games we've been playing? Same old shit.
Same old shit.
PEX, Rocket League, BG3. I think that's different from the last Q&A. We've been playing Baldur's Gate.
Baldur's Gate 3, good game. Great game. One of my favorites, honestly.
A little bit we played Helldivers.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
I've been replaying the Middle Earth games, the like Shadow of Mordor, Shadow of War, just because they were on sale on Steam.
Oh, that's good.
And those are pretty good, but they've aged a little bit.
Bro's out there with his Nemesis system that got fucking, what is it?
Copyrighted.
Yep.
Trademarked so nobody else can use it. Yeah, very fun system, but it's
that.
fucked up that it got trademarked like that, which really does not make any sense. I haven't had much time for games lately, to be honest.
It's been
busy.
ridiculous. I hate being an adult.
I hate January 2025.
This is a bad month, man.
Next question here from Abby. They ask, what did the two of you study in college? Did it influence you to start Hiddo at all? I mean, I've been a poli-sci head for a long time.
I studied biochem in college, so no. Honestly, not a whole lot of overlap between biochemistry and this, but I was friends with this guy, so
true.
And then Joe Biden got elected, so I was like,
I think
crazy.
The influence to start the podcast was liberals being bad.
Yep.
And the effects of COVID, the extraction of wealth we saw during the pandemic and that sort of thing. And also, we just felt like there was a glaring lack of people speaking a normal language in terms of politics. Like a lot of leftists talk about politics in such a way that's just inaccessible to the average person. So we try to break it down in a more digestible way, and I hope we're able to do that.
Yeah, just
but that's the idea.
And shit like that,
Yeah.
This next question from Sam Maloney. Favorite politician you haven't covered enough on the show and least favorite?
I don't fucking like many of them.
I was going to say favorite that we haven't talked about. I don't know. I want to say maybe we haven't talked about like AOC doing like cool things enough, but she's just had like annoying moments recently.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I think the GOAT politician nowadays is probably Rashida Tlaib. Like,
oh yeah, we don't talk about her too often.
She's
either.
probably right on like just about every issue.
Yeah.
At least, as right as you can be as someone in Congress, you know what I mean? Of course there's like local people, Mikhail Goodman. We always go to bat
friend
for
of the
that
show.
guy. Friend of the show, Mikhail Goodman. I'm sure there's tons of other local politicians you could find that are genuinely good people trying to do good things. But at a national level, because we focus on national politics so much, I don't know. There's very few. Slim pickings.
Least favorite? Too many to pick from.
Alyssa Slotkin.
Too many to pick from, man. Oh my goodness. Yeah, honestly, it might be Alyssa Slotkin. Like I was thinking, like, oh yeah, fucking like Nancy Mace, Matt Gaetz, shit like that. But like, no, Alyssa Slotkin is just the most personally disappointing because she is my representative and she's a Democrat, but she's actually a Republican.
Yep.
So it's got to be her.
Incredibly frustrating. Next question from Jesse. Are you guys going to try and get bigger leftist creators on the pod? I'm guessing this is in reference to our People of Interest show. Yeah,
if
maybe.
we can.
There has been some movement given like the looming TikTok ban, which may or may not happen at this point. A lot of people on sort of left talk, as it were, unofficial name, I guess, have been sort of trying to coalesce and collaborate to ensure that we don't immediately die out if the app does disappear completely one day. So maybe we'll try to do something with them. We have made connections. But the problem is, and this is not at anyone in particular, but I can't stand a lot of fucking people in the leftist space.
I'm saying, man, yeah.
Or just in online politics generally, but, we wouldn't have conservatives on. But a lot of people in online politics, I do not fuck with them.
Politics sucks.
Yeah.
Politics discourse, I hate, kind of, actually. So that's fun. But we will have people on. We got people of interest. We got people we're interested in.
Yeah.
Like Andre Dutra and Donovan.
Like us.
Like us, too.
Yeah, we're
right here in episode 3.
Exactly.
God damn it. This is a twofer for real. This is really people of interest. What can I say? Next one from Kevin Kazaya. What games are you guys playing? Same old.
Easy.
But if Marvel Rivals is one of them, what are your mains?
It's not one of them.
We never hopped on the wave. We can't do it. We can't do it. We
it's
tried
too much like Overwatch.
We tried Overwatch 2. We are just not a fan of those type of games.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I used to play Overwatch way back when it first came out. Mercy main, what can I say? But that's just not for me. I can't handle it.
Yeah, I just don't find it fun, and it feels too much like Marvel. Or it feels too much. Marvel Rivals feels too much like Overwatch, and I'm just not a fan of it. Maybe one day though. There are parts of it that look kind of fun. But it just feels like Overwatch, but it's Marvel characters.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's a lot to comprehend. I would play support probably if I was playing the game.
But yeah, sorry if that's disappointing to you all. Next one from Tailored for Content. If, and let's be real, when Hiddo gets to the point where you can both dedicate full time to creating content, what are some ideas you would like to put in the pipeline to entertain us? Oh man, if we
video essay.
Yeah, video essays probably. If we could do this like completely full time, no other job, how glorious that would be.
Well, I'm saying, man, God,
3-hour workday.
The fucking oh my goodness, it'd be video essay, and it would most likely be video essay about other content as well, things that are more adjacently, not things that aren't explicitly political. You know what I mean? It would be things about like I don't know, fucking Andor type shit.
Yeah, like the type like Wisecrack. Wisecrack Philosophy. They do a lot of stuff about like media, entertainment, cultural issues, and I think they do a really good job at framing it. And they're not like explicitly leftist, but they're leftist.
Their
for
Attack
the
on
most part.
Titan videos are great.
Yeah, but they do a pretty good job at like breaking stuff down in that way, and I appreciate what they do. So maybe something similar to that, but from a more like explicitly leftist lens, the way we do it.
Yeah.
More live streams would be fun on like more specific like political events. Like they just did a live debate for the DNC chair.
Oh, really?
And we weren't able to do that because it was 7 p.m. on a Tuesday. You know what I mean?
And it's the fucking DNC chair.
And it's the DNC chair. But stuff like that would be fun. Maybe more like community type events would be fun as well. But yeah, that's only if we get it full time. We have the time to dedicate to it.
I would like to do things that are like adjacently political rather than explicitly political, just for a nice change of pace. That would be nice,
Yeah.
This next one from Emma. Have you seen Arcane? What do you think? Gang, I've been behind. I have not seen Arcane. It's on the list, though, I promise.
Is that the League of Legends show?
Yeah. I hear it's phenomenal. I hear the first season is really good, and the second season is good, but fell off a little bit. That's just what I've heard, though. It's not my opinion. Don't take it as mine.
Yeah. I'm actually in the process of rewatching Severance right now.
Oh, really?
Did you watch Severance, didn't you?
I didn't finish it.
Okay.
I didn't not like it, but I just never got around to finishing it. I watched the first couple episodes. It's really good.
Yeah, rewatching it right now. They just dropped season 2 episodes are coming out actively. Yeah. And the first season was great. I mean, it's just a commentary on like labor, what I mean?
Absolutely.
And alienation. But the second season looks even crazier. They did that thing at Grand Central Station.
I saw at the Apple Store. Oh, wait. They had a thing where the Severance cast was in character at the Apple Store, like working or something.
Oh, they did something at Grand Central Station where they were like, there's like this glass box or glass cube, and they had like their desks inside, and it was the cast.
Oh, shit.
And just like doing shit. And Ben Stiller was in like street clothes recording because he's the director of the show.
That's gas.
He's just recording with his phone. So yeah, season 2 looks really good. So I'm looking forward to that, but rewatching first because I watched it back when I had COVID in like 2021.
Yep.
So it's been a while.
No, I do need to watch Arcane. I also need to watch Cyberpunk, somewhat adjacently related.
The anime?
Yeah, I haven't watched it.
That's really good.
That's what I know.
Is really good.
I gotta watch it. I would see edits on TikTok. I would say RIP, but it's back now. And it's like, oh shit, I gotta skip this because I haven't seen it. It's on the list.
And it's very distinct. Like, you haven't played the game, have you?
No.
But the vibes are exactly the same.
Really?
And it's really good.
Okay.
Yeah. Next one from Ray. They say, I'm super curious, how did you two meet? Was it in college or before? Did you connect over similar politics or something else?
It was freshman year history class.
World history, baby.
World history, freshman year, 9th grade.
14-year-olds or whatever, yeah.
Funny dude.
Yeah.
Funny dude, that's
Funny
it.
dude.
I did not give a shit about politics back then.
Yeah. Then we sort of ran in the same circles for a while. And then eventually.
And then look at us now.
Podcast was born out of the PlayStation Party Chat.
Out of spite, really.
Yeah. And then went to different colleges, and the podcast ran during that tenure.
Yes.
And here we are now.
And here we are now working.
Laboring.
And the podcast is running during this tenure, too. There's been
man,
a couple eras. What can I say, man? This next one from Murder in a Trench Coat. For the hosts, what anime do you think is the best, worst, and bad enough to be good?
Yeah, we got a couple anime questions in here.
We did. Maybe we'll consolidate them down. Some slight differences. I
feel like I'm a basic bitch with anime.
I think I am as well. I've
Really?
dipped my toes in like a little bit more, but I wouldn't say I'm I'm not like watching like all the 12 episode romance animes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not watching I'm not scrolling Crunchyroll being like, oh, this shit looks good. I'm mostly just kind of watch the shonen shit.
Yeah, me too. I mean, it feels corny, but I think my favorite one is just Demon Slayer.
It's gas.
It's so
Demon
simple.
Slayer is good.
It's sort of underdeveloped in the later end if you've read it, but like it's just very enjoyable.
It's simple. It's cool. It's a fun story. It mostly strays from like problematic things that other animes get into.
Yeah, animation is godlike.
Yeah,
in that show.
Yeah, no, my favorite has got to be Cowboy Bebop. However, Chainsaw Man. The Chainsaw Man manga is my favorite manga. Jujutsu Kaisen would be a second when it comes to anime. I really like the Chainsaw Man adaptation. I think a lot of people gave it shit that it didn't deserve.
I liked it too.
I fuck with the artistic vision that they were going for. Bad, the worst one I've ever seen, got to be Berserk 2016. Berserk 2016 is trash. Oh my god, I tried to watch it after I caught up to the manga. Couldn't do it.
I don't know if I could name a worse one. I don't think I've really watched like bad ones because if I didn't like it, I just stopped.
Exactly.
And I don't remember them anymore. I mean, I remember over the pandemic, I watched Attack on Titan, like the entire series up until whatever I had released, which very good. Some problematic elements to Attack on Titan, of course. I think the animator is like pretty anti-Semitic, or not the animator, the writer of the series is fairly anti-Semitic, and there's tropes. You get the whole idea, but yeah, I don't know if I've really watched like things that I just hated. outright.
I would say I struggled to figure out, like, what is, like, the worst anime I've ever seen? It's Berserk. Other than that, I've pretty much liked everything I've watched.
Mm-hmm.
There have been some things I've been just kind of on, but I don't really remember them, you know?
Yeah.
So bad it's good. I don't think I have anything there. You could argue Berserk 2016, but I would say it's irredeemable.
Yeah. Now this next one from Ray, they asked sort of the same thing, favorite anime of all time, so we'll kind of just skip over this. But they did say, thanks for all the high-quality content. Much love from Arizona.
Oh, gas. And they did say their favorite's Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Oh, true.
Gas.
True. Then I'll read this next one here from Julian. What happens to manga when Orange Man is gone? Do you think they have what it takes to keep it together, or will the infighting consume the party? If so, what do you think comes out? Who do you think comes out on top in, say, 5 to 10 years? Cast your mind into the future.
Cast my mind into the future. I think we've talked about it on the pod like a little bit, like sporadically here and there. I think without Trump, MAGA kind of falls apart. Maybe these next 4 years they come up with a figurehead. I don't think it's anybody that we see now. I don't think the Freedom Caucus really kind of like survives without Trump kind of giving them all that fuel. I couldn't accurately dip my mind into the future and really think like, okay, do they become more extremist? Do they moderate out without Trump and like the fucking popularism that he brings? Populism,
yeah.
That he brings.
Popularism is the liberal version. The meaningless liberal version. No, it's tough to say, especially because the predictions we made in 2024 were mostly wrong about the direction of MAGA and the election, of course. So I don't know if I can make any predictions of where we're going to be in 5 years. It seems like J.D. Vance is being set up to be the next guy, at least the front man.
He can't be.
Because right now, Trump, of course, is the president. He'll get a say over what happens. But he had to pull together so many different oligarchs to win the election that he is sort of just an amalgam of capital interests at this point. What happens isn't really up to him as an individual, not even like conspiratorially, but like the people who got him elected are calling the shots. You know what I mean? And the people behind the scenes, the Heritage Foundation folks. I think J.D. Vance might fulfill a similar role to that in the future. I don't know if he'll win in 2028.
He can't. He has no charisma.
He doesn't have the same sauce.
Trump, like, outside of like the evil parts and the bad parts, he's got a beautiful mind.
Yeah.
The way that guy talks and the way he just like conveys his messaging is so unique and different and in ways down to earth that JD Vance just cannot do.
Yeah.
It's so phony.
The one, not even good, but I guess silver lining about fascist movements is they often consume themselves. It's a race to the bottom. They get obsessed with purity tests. They start revolting on their own members. And eventually they make conditions so bad that the society that they rule over starts revolting against them. I hope we don't get to that point, right? Because things would have to be pretty bad for like civilians to start fighting against the government. Yeah. But the alternative is, the GOP just entrenches their power, maybe makes it easier for themselves to win elections, passes a bunch of laws to make it even more impossible to even start pushing back against the wealthy, and shit just continues to spiral and get worse. I don't really know, but it's sort of up to what happens over the next 2 years, and then at midterms, maybe we can wrangle some legislative control back, although I don't know if Democrats will do anything noble with it at this point. We'll see. And a lot of it is up to like the direction that the Democratic Party takes. If we go in a more conservative direction, if we're just openly collaborationist with the fascists, then we're speed running collapse of a nation, right?
Then we don't even need the charismatic leader.
Yeah.
Then we just get the bad politics. That I wouldn't like that very much.
So it's hard to say. I think J.D. Vance is the most likely to be lined up for the next guy, but like Gage said, he's completely sauceless.
Completely.
So, but maybe he won't need the sauce.
Maybe
at that point.
even if Vivek can win Ohio governor, because I think he's announced that he wants to run for Ohio governor, maybe they could set him up for a win. Maybe they'll pick a chick. So Hito adage is the first female president is likely to be a Republican, just because like I feel like that's the way things are shaping out. It really does feel right. So maybe Kari Lake. Maybe it's a Kari Lake. Maybe I'm hopping back on that way.
Maybe we were right with the Kari Lake in the White House prediction. Yeah. No, it's tough to tell. We'll see.
We'll see. Hopefully we can get a good, solid progressive up there for 2028. But this next question from Beef, a.k.a. Bakak17. What are your guys' real people jobs now that you're out of school? I'm a research tech, so I just do biochemistry and molecular biology stuff all day.
I'm teaching the youths.
He's teaching the youths.
I'm doing indoctrination.
He's spreading the doctrine. He's evangelizing.
I simply have to.
Exactly. So that's good. We love that.
Next one. where do y'all stand on the there's no ethical consumption under capitalism debate? I know some people who won't use Amazon and someone else who won't eat Chick-fil-A. In my opinion, it seems like a lot of people have their own personal hill they'll die on, regardless of if that hill is hypocritical. For me, I deleted Twitter when Elon Musk bought it. I also never use Shein or other fast fashion companies, but I have Instagram despite Zuckerberg also being bad, and I still shop at unethical department stores. So how do you guys feel about the argument in general, and do you also have particular companies and people you won't support? I'll start this one out.
That's a great question. Usually when I think of like when I'm thinking of like the there is no ethical consumption over capitalism debate, I think like an aspect of it that people like gloss over, I guess, is I guess this is in the spirit of the question. It's like it's annoying when people use there's no ethical consumption under capitalism to just kind of excuse like any behavior whatsoever. But there is no ethical consumption under capitalism. I don't shop at Shein. It's mostly just because, like, I don't know, like, there's other reasons other than it being hyper-capitalistic to not shop at, like, these super hyper-capitalistic companies. Mm-hmm. A lot of times when companies are explicitly just driven only by profit like that, their product is often shit, too. Mm-hmm. A lot of the Shein stuff will just fall apart, you know what I mean? So I'm not contributing to the fast fashion stuff. There's not really companies I don't think I buy from like principally like that though, you know? I don't usually think about it in that way. It's just usually when companies are like that, they just kind of suck. Yeah. I guess Chick-fil-A is the exception because the chicken nuggets bang, but like I'm not going out of my way to get Chick-fil-A, you know what I mean? Because like in the back of my head, it's like, yeah, I don't really like that you're taking the money and donating it to this.
That is sort of the issue is like a lot of people just hide behind the fact that there is no ethical consumption under capitalism to sort of be as bad as they want.
Yeah, to avoid like critique for their behavior.
I think there's a difference between acknowledging that at base capitalism is a system of exploitation and not being as evil as possible. You know what I mean? Like you shouldn't just use that as an excuse. But I think the more critical aspect is acknowledging the issues of ethics and consumption and orienting yourself towards more wide-scale solutions. Like, don't beat yourself up if you purchase something from a company that sucks, but also don't go out of your way to do it.
Exactly.
Ultimately, I think it sort of misses the mark because solutions to the capitalist system or sort of moving towards a more ethical system aren't going to be found in terms of individual action. We're talking society-wide changes. And again, you shouldn't use that as an excuse to be individually as bad as you want.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we need to think bigger than just individual decisions. It's why like boycotts don't really work, right? Mm-hmm. Like you can say, let's say the TikTok ban went into effect and every leftist in the United States just, deleted their Instagram account. It's not really going to change a whole lot at the end of the day because they're still going to be making a lot of money. Profits are still going to be very high. People are still going to be forced to leave TikTok and join Instagram if they're not a leftist, right? Like at the end of the day, it doesn't really make that much of a difference. Boycotts are best when they're like hyper-specific, localized areas. So it's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough for people like us. But I think that, as we already said, don't use it to mask terrible behavior and push for more large-scale solutions.
I think it's best to just personally just like, I don't know, just limit your consumption in ways. Like you said, just don't go out of your way to do the bad things. I'm still going to order from Amazon. Like, fuck, you can't beat the convenience for some items. Yeah. But first, I'm going to try to get it from the store.
Yeah. Like, I think a good rule of thumb is, like, do everything you can to be as good as you can, right?
Yeah.
Like, make a good faith effort to do things like recycle. Don't generate unnecessary waste. Mm-hmm. But, I don't think you're an amoral, evil person if you got to buy something from Amazon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's probably the right answer.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's tough. But again, I think it misses the mark if you focus too much on the individual and what the individual does, because there are much larger systemic social influences at play that weigh on the individual that make it so, as the question says, you can't ethically consume.
And boycotts only work in like conglomerate. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like it's just, yeah.
I hate commercials.
Me too.
I hate listening to them. I hate when I hear them, whether it's on TV or on podcasts.
Grr, I just can't stand commercials.
They're the worst. And the one place you can go to avoid commercials, like this one you're listening to right now, is patreon.com/headintheofficepod. Become a patron, and you get early access to our episodes, and they're all completely commercial-free. No more interruptions.
And you could be one of our friends.
And that's arguably the more important point.
And, in trying times like this, friendship is what we really need.
Friendship's really important. And you can buy your way into being a friend of ours by heading over to patreon.com/headintheofficepod. Again, early access to episodes, no commercials, access to all of our content before anyone else sees it. become a patron. This next one from Batch Weeks, Batch Works. How much gardening do you guys do prior to recording? Some of your giggle fits sound suspicious. Love, not a DEA agent. I'm guessing this means like getting high.
Yeah, I'm mentally fucking there. I got to be 100% here to fire off the takes.
That's right. No, I'm raw dogging.
That's right. I'm raw dogging this. I'm raw dogging the fucking articles I be reading all morning, and I sit there and I'm just locked in.
Yeah, I don't need any substance. I'm just here. I mean, I got my caffeine sometimes,
and
but
this shit's absurd.
Yeah,
like straight up.
Yeah, you got the next one?
Yes, sir. This one also from Batchworks. Is this democracy's final week? Question asked on 113.
Yeah, probably.
Maybe.
Yeah, who knows? We'll have to wait and see.
Realistically, I think we'll be mostly fine.
It
depends on what Pam Bondi wants to let Trump get away with.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even think it's up to Pam Bondi at this point. I think we're pretty guaranteed to see things like mass deportations.
Yeah, I was thinking about election things. I was thinking more so in the terms of, is Trump going to go for a third term? Yeah. I don't know. He talks about it. That is like a 95.5 chance. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I have seen some people pushing the argument that like the 25th Amendment, or I think that's the one, or the 22nd Amendment. One of the two is the one that imposes 2 terms on the president. They're like, oh, well, that actually, you don't need to follow it, and here's a loophole where you can actually run for a third term. And it's like, well, if he does do that, there's not much that like I can do about it individually.
So
you know?
Like maybe it is. We'll have to find out.
But I think it's probably more important to see why democracy started failing in the first place, and maybe investigate if we ever really had a fully fledged democracy to begin with.
Yeah,
there's certainly still plenty of populations that live here, work here, do things here that can't vote, like felons, for example, in some states. So I think our democracy has faced many perils before. We'll face many perils in the future, and maybe a lot of those perils generate from the fact that our democracy was never really that strong to begin with.
Yeah.
So, not great. Next one from Zacatech 13. Do you guys have a specific moment you can remember that radicalized you, or was it more of a collection of things you noticed? I grew up in a very conservative family, and my come to Mao moment was not long before I saw one of your TikToks, rest in peace. Not anymore, I guess. For the first time, glory to Jeremy's thighs. And I'm really glad I was in the right headspace to actually listen to your takes and let you wrap my mind palace to suit your agenda. Much love. Forever a totally real non-parasocial friend.
Shit, for me, like I said, it was COVID and the BLM stuff. It was all it was the George Floyd riots, everything that happened everything that was going on in 2020. Really, I was like, oh man, that's wow.
Yeah, conservatives sort of get it in their head that kids are being radicalized by college or by the media that they watch, or by, some sort of nefarious plot to radicalize them. But it really is just the world around you.
Yeah.
Right? Like throughout 2020, there was a massive transfer of wealth during a pandemic. There were insane cases of police brutality that Donald Trump was just cool with and endorsed in some cases. There was the pandemic itself, of course, that Trump just kind of let ravage a lot of people. So it's not surprising why so many people were radicalized in that period. I think the more depressing part is that a lot of people were radicalized, wanted to see massive sweeping changes to our system, and then we fucking got Joe Biden, who didn't do anything to actualize those desires or to capitalize on this fervor of people wanting to see things change, and instead sort of paved the way for Trump winning re-election again.
I can't believe, looking back at it, how much has changed from the conditions that were present when Joe Biden got elected to now. Like, we really let conservatives win when it came to saying defund the police was a bad message. Like, we really just completely rolled over on everything.
Yeah.
Wow. Next one from Will.
Yeah.
Next one from Will. While we wait for you respectable men to commit to daily episodes of Hiddo, what other podcasts would you recommend, although they will be inferior to you boys?
That's crazy. Daily episodes? I think that might be a bit of a stretch.
I am not Sam Cedar. I am not Sam Cedar.
There's a radio show at that point. Other podcasts. So I don't know if there's any I would specifically recommend that are like just like Hiddo, you know what I mean? Because we're one of a kind.
Of course.
Realistically. But throughout the week, I'll listen to the Crooked Media podcast because I got to know what the liberals are saying.
I subject myself to the pulse.
Yeah, I got to know what they're saying. And I often disagree with a lot of what they have to say, but that is what it is. I listen to Chapo Trap House sometimes. They've usually got okay takes, but sometimes I'll disagree with them. The Even More News podcast from the Some More News crew is pretty good usually. They're usually pretty on point. I don't know if I listen to any others that frequently.
I don't listen to many podcasts like regularly.
Majority Report, I guess, if you count it as a podcast. I listen to Majority Report pretty often.
If you count as Majority Report as a podcast, that's probably my number one.
Yeah.
But other than that, like podcast, I really just listen to Chapo.
Yeah.
I'll tune into Chapo Trap House to see what's going on. And then if the Pod Johns pop off with something crazy, I'll check it out. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I guess Chapo Trap House, but I'm sure most of you probably listen to them already.
Yeah. If there's any like source of content I'd recommend, it'd probably be Majority Report.
Yeah.
They're definitely like the best ones out there in terms of like agreeing with our positions.
Yeah, definitely. And
you know
being
what I mean?
funny and shit.
Yeah. Majority Report's very good. Next one from Froggy Gumdrop. What's your favorite little treat?
Oh shit, what is my favorite little treat?
I'm a coffee drinker, certified. I used to not be this way, but I am now.
There's this place called Scooter's Coffee, like kind of like around where I live.
Yeah.
They got this like peanut butter, like fucking it's peanut butter mocha latte, some bullshit. Mm-hmm. That is gas. I fuck with that, but it's like $7 as coffee is.
Yeah.
So
coffee's expensive nowadays.
Yeah.
See, I'm a coffee flavored coffee kind of guy.
Coffee flavored coffee guy.
Yeah, I need my coffee to taste like coffee. So if I'm ever getting a little treat, it's usually like an iced coffee.
This guy said, "Let me get an iced black coffee."
No, I put like milk and creamer in it, but like
let me get an iced black coffee with fucking.
It's just who I am. Let us know your favorite little treats in the comments.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's a good one. This next one from Heidi. Mm-hmm. Dream and nightmare blunt rotation using current U.S. Congress members.
Alyssa Slotkin.
Let's nightmare blunt rotation. Let's see. We got Alyssa Slotkin, Nancy Mace. Matt Gaetz isn't current anymore.
John Fetterman,
Josh Hawley. Mm-hmm. Josh Hawley. Let's get like 2 more in there.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think of like U.S. senators. Because I could just state the evil ones, you know.
Yeah.
But that's no fun.
But who's like a much more of like a sleeper?
Who would I not want to be around?
Those 4 are pretty high on that list.
Yeah, no, they're good.
Huh.
It's tough.
Oh, Maggie Hassan.
Of course.
Maggie Hassan, definitely. Who's somebody that sticks out as like highly like just insufferable?
Mike Johnson.
Mike Johnson. I didn't want to go for the easy Marjorie Taylor Greene or Lauren Berber. Lauren Boebert, but Mike Johnson. Oh my God. That's a nightmare blunt rotation right there. Dream. I got Bernie.
Yeah, Bernie.
I got Bernie Sanders, AOC.
Anyone from the Progressive Caucus, yeah.
Exactly. Ro Khanna, maybe even like, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Next one from Tari. If you two were the head of state for a week, what policies would y'all force through the legislature immediately?
Rent control.
Because I know I'm going to be out in a week.
Rent control.
So I'm going to need to be able to pay my rent once I'm back.
I need to make sure everything's straight for myself in the future. Yeah.
Immediate. Probably forgive all the student debt.
Student debt forgiveness, yes.
Yeah, because that would benefit me as well.
Oh, legalizing weed.
Yeah, of course.
Because, that's just one of the things that... I don't understand why Joe Biden didn't make good on that promise. That's one of the most, like, just banal things that he could have done that would have had such a massive return for him. Mm-hmm. Yeah, doing those 2 things, those are like the easy ones. What else is there?
I don't know. There's not a lot you could do in like 1 week because I'm thinking infrastructure projects, but that takes like years to finish. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They could be easily curtailed because like international.
Minimum wage.
Yeah, minimum wage.
Fucking
increases.
$20 minimum wage.
Yeah, I saw Bernie started talking about $17 an hour, so I've appreciated that. But like high speed rail across the nation, that takes a long time to complete.
Yeah.
Couldn't get that done in a week. So yeah, all the stuff where I can just flick my pen and change numbers, that's what I'm doing.
Easy peasy. Yeah, minimum wage, student debt. What's the other one I said?
Weed.
$10,000
child tax credit.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. Yeah. That's good. That's
the basic stuff.
100%. This next one from Stella. Do you guys have any advice for how to stay positive / hopeful with the state of everything these days? I'm the same age as you guys, and it's hard to not get incredibly depressed with how things are. I don't know. Sorry for the bummer question.
Hey, man, it's a bummer time.
It is a bummer time. Staying positive in a bummer time, locking in. Low key, I don't necessarily have like tangible advice. Sometimes I get down about it too. Especially when I immerse myself in articles to try and figure out what's happening to disseminate it all to you guys. Articles. Oh my God, I know. And especially when they ask me to pay them money, like then I'm pissed off for the rest of the workday.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, man. But yeah, it's just kind of just locking in, keeping your head down, and staying hopeful.
Yeah,
I guess.
I feel like it's also good to like find hobbies to do.
Yeah.
Like if you like to read or if you like to watch movies or, whatever, if you like to like do art, take photography or whatever, like finding hobbies you can do to distract yourself is always good. Don't feel bad for unplugging every once in a while.
Yeah, you don't need to be constantly just like on the news unless you're a podcaster.
Like I try to dedicate at least one day if I can each week to just like doing nothing work related, no podcast stuff, nothing for my job related, nothing for school, like trying to just dedicate my entire time to just chilling out. I find that usually helps when I have weeks that I'm able to do that. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be tough. I don't want to sugarcoat it. It's going to be a hard 4 years. I don't like. It's hard to know exactly what Trump's going to be able to get done.
Yeah, I guess now it's like, especially these first 100 days, it's just going to be like, how much of his rhetoric was just rhetoric to get elected, and how much of this stuff is he actually ideologically committed on delivering. So, yeah, just remain hopeful. It will be over in 4 years. At least he, as of now, can't win again.
Yeah.
So that's something. And I do, I'm going to throw out a prediction there. I do foresee general backlash kind of to this administration as we go through these 4 years, just kind of like how we saw even before COVID with Trump's approval rating shooting down. So I think we're poised for a Democrat win in 2028. But it's just being hopeful about who the candidate is.
Yeah, it's hard to know right now. But yeah, like you said, I think there will be a lot of negative polarization.
Yeah.
Against Donald Trump, especially as he enacts things like these tariffs, which are demonstrably going to hurt a lot of people, or mass deportation is going to hurt a whole lot of people, and that will be a very visceral, visual example of him hurting people. Yeah, there will be a backlash to Donald Trump. The question is, can official Democratic Party institutions and apparatuses capture that energy? And can they use it for something good that doesn't just dissipate as soon as they win the House, for example?
Well, all they got to do is put us on payroll, $200,000 a year. and then I'm good. I'm yelling from the rooftops, and I'm getting the messaging done.
I don't think we're ever getting something like that, unfortunately. I think we're going to be grassroots as long as we do this. Next one, also from Stella. What do you guys like to do for fun? Or what are your interests outside of politics? Had to throw a lighter Q in there.
Shit.
What'd you do outside of politics?
Played a game.
Played a game?
I played a game. I watched a little bit of anime.
I work, sleep.
Honestly, I have no time for other shit. I started watching Hunter x Hunter. Hunter x Hunter's been gas. I would suggest it. There's a little bit of a slow start maybe, but I liked it. But I just finished Heaven's Arena, so Hunter x Hunter has been gas. The other weebs out there will fuck with that.
Yeah. See, I try to dedicate time to enjoying things outside of things that are related to consuming media.
Yeah.
And it's tough because so much of entertainment is just consuming media. Back before I broke my fucking arm, I dedicated a lot of time to exercise and stuff, and I enjoyed that. But I haven't been able to do as much of that as I've wanted to recently. But hopefully I'll get back to that.
Hopefully.
And I think that's good for the mind.
Absolutely.
If you're able to
go on a walk. There you go. Yeah, that's how you can stay hopeful.
Even just going on walks. And taking the earbuds out for a little bit, hearing the sounds of the city or nature, if you so choose. But yeah.
This one from Chris the Postman. How would you convince your liberal leftist friends and family who feel burnt out after the most recent loss to keep going and keep fighting with their vote? Of course.
I think putting it in a historical context sort of helps. History never ends.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I know Trump getting elected feels like the end of a lot of things. And for some policy stuff, it certainly will be. Things are going to get harder under Donald Trump. But history continues moving forward. And if we want to believe that history ultimately has a sort of moral bend to it, then we have some kind of duty to be a part of that moral bend. And as good little liberals, they should know that we have regular elections and that eventually there will be another chance to seize power again. Or even if it's just rhetorical cultural power, there will be opportunities to exploit the failures of the Trump administration and effectively make a change. Until then, protect each other, protect your neighbors, protect your friends, because like we said, it's probably not going to be very good. But you can't just give up. History never ends. Politics never ends.
I would say also right now may not be the moment to be convincing people, hold in, stay locked into voting. But come midterm year, that is when it comes okay, look at the things Trump has done. Look at the legislation that has been passed. And I think that will speak for itself if they are already politically motivated. Yeah. If there's somebody who's apolitical, doesn't pay attention to politics, it's a lot harder. Billion-dollar industry trying to reach those people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if your family members are liberal leftists and they're dissuaded by the current moment, I think part of that is natural and will just take time to get them back into the voting mood. Because I don't want to get back in the booth after voting's locking in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, but I will.
Yeah, that's a good point. If you have already political family and friends and stuff like that, eventually they will see something that will light a fire underneath them and make them want to act. And what you can do there is help facilitate that process and just be there in support of them. But I think that's right. If people are feeling down in the dumps right now, especially because of what they see their own Democratic senators doing, let them feel down. It's a normal part of the process. It's very human. But and trust hopefully that they won't just give up completely.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, unplugging's not an option. Unplugging completely is not an option.
Yes.
Got to keep pushing forward. That is the sort of role of progressives throughout history. This next one from Anonymous. I constantly see left-wing critiques of Attack on Titan as having conservative or fascistic themes. As fellow leftist AOT enjoyers, do you have any quick counterpoints to that narrative? And could we ever see a special podcast episode or video essay from the Hito Boys looking at Attack on Titan?
Man.
It's been a while since I've done this discourse.
It's been a while since I've done this discourse. Like a couple months ago, I sat there and I was doing some like microscope imaging on the computer, so it's like good headphone time, you know what I mean? And I was just listening to like an hour and a half video essay that's actually like detailing. I think it was titled something along the lines of "Is Attack on Titan actually like fascist?" or something like that, because that was the discourse, and it kind of changed my opinion on it a little bit. I think that there are aspects of Attack on Titan, especially when we look at general like Pixis and stuff, that are very much indicate that Isayama may be at the very least sympathetic to like Japanese nationalist ideas and like this idea that like Japan needs to be revitalized to where it was before. I know there's a sentiment of that in Japan going on. I'm trying to distill like an hour and a half of cultural nuance that I watched down into a Q&A like months later. So like forgive me if I'm missing details, but I think it's Pixis is named after a general from World War II. Japan did awful shit during World War II. Yeah. So there's some weird connections that are drawn between like the Survey Corps and members of it to bad people in actual history. There's also a connection between Irwin with I think a Nazi general. So there's bad shit like that is going on in the show. And I think if you're a media literate person, you can take that and say like, okay, this could be taken as like a not as being anti-Semitic, because I don't think the series is anti-Semitic. I think it unfortunately uses tropes from that era irresponsibly.
Yeah, which can be a form of anti-Semitism.
You can interpret it as anti-Semitism, but I don't think that's the intent. I don't think the story in its totality supports anti-Semitic messaging and like an anti-Semitic narrative, although it may use tropes irresponsibly. I do think there's an argument that it could be arguing for some maybe nationalistic and bad things, but I don't think it is a nationalistic show. I don't think the messages, when you look at everything that happened, the entire story argues in support of nationalism or fascism. I just think there are some unfortunate metaphors maybe, or things that have enough ambiguity that they can be taken in a wrong direction by an audience that is already pre-programmed to think bad things. I think broadly the show supports narratives of like freedom, stuff like that, and it shows, I'm trying to figure out how to word this, but like people like Eren can happen. There are people who are a part of a group that is being oppressed or is put into a bad situation that retaliate and do things and go a little too far. And I think that's, you can express that without expressing bad things. I think the show in totality is pretty good. The show itself is very good, but I think its themes, we do come out of it, you can take away, I don't want to say a leftist message, but I wouldn't also say a fascist message either. You can take away a good message from the show. Yeah. But as art goes, you have a personal relationship with it. There's room for interpretation, death of the author and whatnot.
Yeah, I think the one like narrative flaw I can think of that just sort of comes top of mind, again, I haven't like engaged in this discourse in a while, is just that like the Eldians, right? They're the ones on the island.
Yeah.
They are like they are victims of imperialism, right? Like they are stuck on this island. They are cut off from the outside world, and they are lied to by their king or whatever. And the impetus is because this minority group has this like insane power that can destroy the rest of the world. Yeah. This is a narrative that's pushed against a lot of different marginalized groups, including Jewish people. What the show does is affirm that narrative, because they can indeed destroy the rest of the world. But it's also like a fantasy anime show. That's
where I kind of like, I think that's where part of like being media literate specifically, rather than just being like literate as in you can understand the like show, means something. Because when we look at the medium that Attack on Titan's in, it's a shonen. You know what I mean? You want cool powers, you want characters to be able to do cool shit, and you want a fantastical setting just for entertainment value. It's not literary fiction. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's not fucking Normal People by Sally Rooney. It's like, it's the same thing goes for the X-Men. People love to tout X-Men as like a civil rights allegory. There are some like problems with that, some critique that I've seen about that. But I mean, if you look at X-Men as that kind of story, you look at the Magneto and the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants and you say, okay, well, They can go and kill the world, though.
Magneto does murder people.
Like, the mutants are dangerous. This guy's got laser eyes. You know what I'm saying? But engaging with it as it's kind of presented to you, you realize, like, okay, this may be an area where I have to suspend my disbelief a little bit.
Right.
This isn't the most literary work of fiction. This isn't the most grounded work of fiction, so I have to kind of understand what's going on.
Yeah. And I think when it comes to media in general, if you enjoy something and you think it's under attack from those that think it's like antithetical to leftist beliefs, sometimes you just got to accept, like, yeah, you know, this isn't the best show when it comes to leftist narratives. But you can use that as an example to say, here's what the show could have done better. And even though it does fall short, I still like it for X, Y, and Z. Right? Like Attack on Titan has a really good story.
It's gas.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
even if it does have some issues with it, you can still enjoy it.
And it's like, there is media that does have like conservative messaging and conservative theming that isn't bad. You know what I mean? There is media that gets out there and does want to like have like maybe have themes of like a strong male leader or something like that, charismatic leader being good, shit like that. I think I'd seen discourse on TikTok about how The Sopranos is ultimately like a conservative piece of media for like things that it argues for, the way that it portrays certain characters and stuff like that. But nobody's going to argue that The Sopranos is a bad show.
Right, and you can, of course, things with conservative sort of messaging can like be good artistically.
Yeah, they're usually not, but
when you see something like that, you can also use that as an argument to say, like, okay, this show is about how strong men are good leaders, but look how miserable everybody is, right? And you can use that to argue against conservative talking points.
And also, it becomes an issue with just taking like a singular piece of media, and obviously every piece of media has themes, right? And extracting it into like a political message, a political narrative too, that would apply to the world writ large. Because like in any individual situation, maybe the conservative idea is a good idea. The problem is in our world, in reality, they aren't.
Yeah.
You can't extract those.
Yeah, when people are making shows or movies or anime or whatever, like they engineer the scenarios.
Yeah, it exists in a confined world. Like, sometimes in that scenario, maybe the conservative answer is the solution. You know, maybe this person is abusing the system of the government helping them out. But
that's more of a question of like, why did the authors or creators depict a person in that way? And what political questions does that sort of reveal to us? And that's a sort of deeper analysis that you can do as well. Media is complicated, but I think it is good to analyze it and accept where, like, even if you like a show, accept its shortcomings and maybe argue where it could be better.
Absolutely.
And that's okay.
And I think that's where you get into a difference between, like, literacy and media literacy. Media literacy, like, Death of the Author, literacy, whatnot, I think Death of the Author loses its value when it comes to media literacy because you want to consider why things are made. You want to consider media in its context of how it was created and what that is doing to the people that are viewing it, and then how they take those messages and take them into broader society.
Yeah, it's a sort of meta-ethical analysis. Yeah. The congregation is missing someone. And that someone, dear listener, is you. The congregation awaits you over on our Discord. If you go into the description of this episode right now, there will be a link to join the Head in the Office Discord where you will find more than 1,000 like-minded individuals for you to interact with, and maybe most importantly, we'll be there.
1,000 members strong. It is a burgeoning community of Hittoheads.
That's right.
Ready to receive you into their arms. Make you a part of the community. Vest you as a Hittohead.
Over on Discord, we have discussions. You can interact with other Hittoheads. And maybe, for some fun, we can do some community events. And we know that you want to be a part of that. Only available over on the official Head in the Office Discord. Next question, so much more fun, this one from Memphis. Do either of you guys own firearms personally? Or do you wish to? This is
y'all strapped?
Submitted by Donald Trump. I do not own any firearms.
I don't either.
Nor do I think that I will anytime soon.
I don't really have a desire to.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I would want a handgun. I'm not anti it. It's fun to go shoot guns.
Yeah. Like I don't. Yeah.
But I just don't have one. That shit's expensive.
That shit is
low key.
Very
even
expensive.
if I did want one, I don't think I could stomach spending like $1,000 on one right now.
Yeah, like I understand why people get one. Exercise your Second Amendment. Be safe, of course.
Yeah.
Don't use it against any person. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if I don't really care.
It's just not for me.
Some people are gun enthusiasts and pop off, be interested in what you want to be, but like,
If I did, it would just be like a Glock. Or some shit.
So
like
real.
A pistol, you know what I mean?
He's going to keep the tool on him. It's gonna be
Exactly. Of the tool.
Right.
This next one from Dictator Jace. Favorite childhood movies / characters growing up, and have you ever lived anywhere else besides Michigan?
Childhood movies, Sam Raimi, Spider-Man.
Sam Raimi, Spider-Man, gas. I gotta throw out the Star Wars in there.
Of course.
All the original 6. Even the Clone Wars movie. That shit sucks now, but that was gas when I was a child.
When I was a kid, oh my God, the Sam Raimi, Spider-Man movies. I watched those on repeat.
I loved Spider-Man 3.
Yeah, me too.
Spider-Man
Me too.
3, bang. I
The
thought
black suit.
Venom was so fucking cool.
Yeah.
Oh my God, man.
It's a bad movie looking back, kind of, but
Yeah.
the black suit was really cool and I liked it.
But at least 1 and 2 are masterpieces.
Oh, two is an excellent Spider-Man
Two is
movie.
phenomenal.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, those Star Wars. I'm trying to think what else would have stuck out. Those are the ones.
Yeah,
Those are the ones.
Lived anywhere else since Michigan or besides Michigan? Nope.
No, during
Michigan.
COVID, I lived in Virginia for like a couple
true.
months.
That's- yeah,
so
I
I guess
remember
that counts.
No, I've been in Michigan the whole time.
Yeah.
Been moved around various different places, but
Michigan, cool.
yeah, living in Michigan, living in Detroit, Michigan.
Living in the city.
Not a
that's
safe place
crazy.
anymore now that the Lions lost.
I know you had a buffer there for
Yeah.
what, 19 weeks?
Yeah, this next one from Drew. Do you think that cosmetic plastic surgery is gender affirming care?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously.
I mean,
right?
when you consider like the reasons why people do it, I think mostly like, yeah, it's to fit. Like if I went and got my fucking hairline fixed, you know what I mean? I'm doing that to fix because there's societal pressure telling me that like, oh, a man's supposed to look like this, like dudes do this, and it's like, okay, yeah, it makes me feel more like a dude, more like a man.
Maybe not like every single instance of plastic surgery is gender affirming care, but a lot of the time, if you are enhancing some feature about yourself, it's to feel more masculine or more feminine or feel more of the way that you want
Or
to.
at the very least, it's to fit into society. If
Yeah.
you feel like that feature makes you stick out more, and then you have to kind of interrogate the reasons why you want to fit in society by doing that. And often I think it does break down to like gendered expression.
Yeah, and I think the fact that we don't call it gender affirming care is just because it would make cis people feel uncomfortable if we did.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any other reason that we don't. Like breast reduction, for example, or breast enlargement, for that matter, gender affirming care. You know, like it fundamentally is. It is related to your gender and the way that it is expressed. It is gender affirming care. And sure, people don't talk about it that way, but I think that's more of a reflection of how we feel about the terms rather than what the procedures actually are.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So this next one, you got it?
This next one, also from Drew. What are your thoughts on anti-woke game lists, and what is the most ironic game you have seen / heard on them?
I was looking at these one time.
Yeah.
One of the anti-woke game lists I saw on Steam had Baldur's Gate as a woke game that you shouldn't play.
Okay.
Which, to be fair, it is an
Yeah.
extremely woke game.
Yeah.
But if your don't play list includes Baldur's Gate, there's something wrong with the don't play list.
Yeah, for sure.
And then the same list once had Disco Elysium as woke, but then switched it to woke, or switched it to anti-woke because you can like hit a woman at some
Oh,
point.
that's crazy.
Disco Elysium is about communism. But like, it's just hilarious. These people don't actually analyze these games.
That's gotta win the most like ironic one.
Yeah.
My pick wasn't necessarily going to be ironic, but my favorite pick on the anti-woke game list is Lego Indiana Jones as being a woke game. Like that's so good. What do you mean Lego Indiana Jones is too woke for you?
That's so funny. what could possibly be in that game?
That's what I'm saying. You could hit a woman in Lego Indiana Jones. If that's the criteria to get Disco Elysium off the woke list, man.
Oh, the other thing about Disco Elysium is like they said that in the game there's a woman that lies about sexual assault. And that's why it's anti-woke, because that refers to like broader societal trends. The thing is though, in the game, she doesn't lie about it. She tells the truth when you ask her.
Classic conservative.
She tells the truth that that's just a rumor going around to protect her from the investigation. It's more complicated with the narrative, but she doesn't lie. She will tell you the truth. Obviously, there's like checks in the game you got to pass because it's a video game, but like it's not how it plays out.
Oh man, anti-woke game lists are my favorite. I think like all the Dark Souls make it on the anti-woke game. I think Dark Souls 2 makes it on because like I think it's the Bewitching branch you can use to change your character's gender.
Oh yeah,
But like there's always a feature in like Dark Souls, Soulsborne games where you can change your character's features.
Yeah.
It's not woke.
On the same anti-woke list, I saw Elden Ring was woke because it's kind of about being trans. The game, like some of the narrative.
Well,
is
I'm
about
sure
trans.
they didn't get that though.
Yeah.
I'm sure they just saw you can pick your gender.
Yeah, so you don't have to play as a
Pick your
strong
gender.
white man.
Yeah, Bloodborne and all the themes like motherhood, femininity, shit like that. Birth. I'm sure they missed all that, and they just said, "Oh,
It's just like if you can have Elden Ring and Baldur's Gate 3 on your don't playlist, something is fundamentally wrong.
And Lego Indiana Jones, the Lego games bang, especially the old ones. Come on,
There's something wrong with your don't playlist. Like if you can't enjoy good games, like I don't know, especially Elden Ring.
Yeah.
Elden Ring's literally one of the greatest games ever made. Whatever, doesn't matter. This next one from Fergalaki. Will you be joining Jiang Shu, also known as Red Note?
We did.
We did. I don't. Well, TikTok's back.
Yeah.
So we probably won't really be.
So
posting
we're
there.
so back. So
Joined for a little bit just to see what was going on. Even if TikTok goes away, I don't think it's really a place for Head in the Office because, one, it's a Chinese app that'll probably get banned. And two, they don't really allow political content, which is all we have to offer.
yeah.
So, and they don't allow political content because China's far more harsh than the U.S. government, or I guess U.S. apps on like free speech stuff. They don't really want you talking about politics openly. So I don't think that'll really be a place for us to post, unfortunately. If you want to be on there, go crazy. I don't think there's any like issues with your data leaking or it being unsafe any more than like Instagram, right? But I don't think it's going to be really fruitful for Head in the Office.
No, I also feel like it's just going to kind of die out in like a month or two.
Yeah,
I don't think people are going to sustain this wave.
Yeah, I think it's a sort of temporary pushback to being angry about TikTok being banned.
Yeah. It's like a protest kind of.
Yeah. And I don't think it's going to last that long. So, yeah.
Yes. This one from Veronica, aka V. As you guys know, the 2024 general election sparked a conversation about the need for some sort of left-wing media conglomerate. Of course, the issue on the American left are bigger and run deeper than media and culture, but I was wondering if you guys had a vision for what Hitto's role could/would be within a more robust leftist media landscape.
If any much larger organization wants to hit us up and incorporate us, I'm waiting.
It sounds good.
But that has not happened. I think David Pakman and a couple of other like bigger leftist creators, I don't even know if I can call Deepak a leftist anymore, left-wing creators were starting a sort of conglomerate to that effect. I reached out to them with the Hitto credentials and we did not get anything back. So I don't know how serious that is or if they're actually doing it or if it's just a PR thing, but I didn't hear anything. If actual leftists want to like create a thing, I'm all for it. But I just haven't seen anything in any kind of movement in that direction.
Yeah, that would be nice. That would certainly be nice, a little leftist Daily Wire, but I mean.
Yeah, if Hassan could fucking dedicate a couple milli to it.
Yep.
I know he could.
Yep.
I'm waiting for him to do it.
Yep.
Get some grassroots support from the Hitto heads, but I don't know. If something like that happens, we'd probably be interested to take part in it, but here we are.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Maybe full-time Hitto, but whatever.
Yeah.
So maybe a fucking 4-hour work week like that dumbass book, but whatever.
Next one from Dictator Jace. They say, where do you see yourselves in 5 years? Who is a political figure in the current limelight that will fall into oblivion come 2028? And could we see a Johnson Cosmonopoulos ticket for 2036? Lots of questions there.
That is lots of questions. Where do I see myself in 5 years? I don't know. I can barely see myself in 1 year, low-key.
Yeah, talking head on CNN.
Yeah.
When they actually become the communist news network.
Yeah, I'm going to be on there for my 45 seconds, giving a diatribe, and then I'll get cut off.
Yeah.
Because they need to go to commercial.
Political figure that'll fall in the current limelight that will fall into oblivion come 28. I don't know.
Come 28.
Like someone who's going to fall off, hardest fall off before 2028.
Hardest, man.
I hope it's like, Kamala Harris. She's already fallen off. I hope she stays falling off.
I feel like, no, it's not going to be Pete Buttigieg. Democrats like that are active right now like him too much.
Pete's going to run for governor of Michigan probably.
Oh, really?
He lives in Grand Rapids, I think.
He lives in Grand Rapids?
I think so.
Oh, that's crazy. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he did run for governor of Michigan.
He's going to try to run for governor of Michigan.
Isn't the Secretary of State also gearing up for a run too? I can't remember
Jocelyn Benson, yeah, probably. But yeah, we have a governor's race in 2026.
Man, that sucks.
So primary news probably coming this year. People are going to announce this year probably.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
So we have that to look forward to.
Wow. You think Tudor Dixon's going to make another run?
Maybe. I don't know. So
Maybe.
That one's a tough question. 2020 or 2036 ticket? Stay tuned. We're gearing up.
They got easy oppo for us. They got lots of material for their attack ads.
And I'll stand behind all of it.
2 hours of material every week, but I'm not switching up like Kamala did.
Maybe it's just like an overwhelming amount to look through, so they won't do it.
Oh, exactly. They're too lazy.
Yeah, there's just too much to go through. They can't comb through it all. Yeah. Or maybe they'll listen and agree with us and be
maybe they'll listen and be radicalized and join the team and say, look, this is what they're saying about you. Say this instead. If only. Next question from Mark Yeager. What are some legitimate names to look out for when talking about 2028 presidential candidates that would appeal to fellow leftists or at the bare minimum aren't dog shit?
That is the bare minimum, isn't it?
Man, there's a short list.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I can think of a list off the top of my head.
Legitimate names. So, I mean, the ones that are dog shit, we've got like Gavin Newsom. We've got Kamala Harris, who I really hope does not run again in 2028.
She's acting like she wants to run again.
I know. It's really bad.
She did go to the Joe Biden school of not admitting when you're losing.
Yeah. So there's those two at the top that are probably going to be in the primary in 2028, although I hope they're not. And I hope Democratic primary voters choose correctly and do not go with either of them. Bernie's obviously not running again. He's just too old at this point. I don't know who like the left-wing options could be for 2028. I mean, I like Gretchen Whitmer, but she's not really a leftist.
I was going to say, Gretchen Whitmer, I'm still behind that like wave. I don't know if she has enough of a profile in 2028 to be able to make it. Maybe.
I mean, there's people like J.B. Pritzker, governor of Illinois, who's also a billionaire, by
Bashir.
the way. Andy Bashir. Yeah, but like none of these people are really that good. You know what I mean? Bashir's better than Harris for sure.
My pro, like my best case scenario is somebody new hops on the scene or AOC.
If Tim Walz wouldn't have been fucking spoiled.
Yep.
Tim Walz.
Maybe she should have picked Josh Shapiro.
Yeah. Honestly, that would have been a better outcome if they were going to lose no matter what.
Yep.
Because then at least Tim Walz wouldn't have been sullied.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They didn't act like they were playing for the win. So.
Yeah. I mean, he could repair his image over time, but I just think anybody associated with that ticket or that admin now cannot be anywhere near.
Maybe he would just throw her under the bus like crazy. That'd be sick.
Yeah. Here's what happened on the Kamala Harris campaign. Yeah. I mean, Joe Biden could run in 28. It could be Trump, Biden. You know what I mean?
Hunter Biden.
Yeah. Maybe Biden's story isn't over yet.
Exactly. Hey, he's still kicking.
He's the only guy that's ever beat Donald Trump.
That's true.
So
and
maybe
he thinks he can do it still because his team lied about his internal polling numbers.
Oh, yeah. We didn't even talk about that today.
Oh, we did it.
That's funny. Next question here, the last patron question. What are your guys' top 3 movies of all time?
Shit. Top 3 movies?
Spider-Man 3.
It's still Spider-Man 3. No, low-key, here we go. It might be Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, Empire Strikes Back, and then maybe Look Back, Tatsuki Fujimoto.
I don't even know what that last
That
one is.
shit banged so hard. It came out this year. That fucked.
Yeah.
Maybe throw a In the Mood for Love in there by Wong Kar-wai.
It's hard for me to choose that. I'm not that much of a cinephile. I kind of just any movie I'm seeing, I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. You know what I mean?
Shit, that's good.
I liked Everything Everywhere All at Once. That was a very good movie.
Yeah.
I just had Sorry to Bother You. I liked quite a bit too. That one is just about like class division and stuff like that.
Sorry to Bother You. That's a fun movie.
Sorry to Bother You is very good. I don't know. I do like Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse as well. Shameik Moore's not doing too well at the moment, though. He needs to be less weird. Miles Morales.
Shameik Moore really rooting for the Ravens tonight. Let me tell you.
I don't know. It's tough for me. I need to start keeping track of movies I watch on Letterboxd.
Yeah, shit. Hit a letterbox going soon.
Other people do it, and they can like look back and recall movies that they've watched.
Because I do struggle to like think of like my top 5 movies like on the fly sometimes too.
Yeah.
Because it's like I feel like other than like Into the Spider-Verse and Empire Strikes Back, third does switch out a little bit. But
I did like Tenet. That was a fun one.
Tenet was fun.
The one about time going backwards.
Yeah,
very confusing.
Fucking confusing movie. But it's
I
fun.
still don't get it.
It was a fun watch.
Yeah,
It was a fun
Oppenheimer was pretty good. I liked Oppenheimer.
Oppenheimer is good.
Oppenheimer.
Fucking Perfect Blue. Satoshi Kon, that movie is phenomenal as well.
I watched Spirited Away like a year ago. That one's pretty fun.
Spirited Away is good.
Spirited Away is a good movie.
I need to catch up on the Ghibli movies.
I watched the newest one. It was pretty good. The
Boy and the Heron. Yeah, I've seen Spirited Away, Boy and the Heron, My Neighbor Totoro, and Howl's Moving Castle. I need to watch. Next on my list is Princess Mononoke, and then probably Porco Rosso, the pig that fights fascists.
Oh, there you go.
That sounds gas.
Man, I try to get into be more of a cinephile, but I don't know if I could. I don't know if I have the stamina.
Damn.
Especially nowadays, it's just too busy all the time.
Are you trying to read books?
I'm trying to read books too.
in 2025.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
I started trying to read books. That's just hard.
It is hard. Right now, I'm reading. What's it called? The Will of the Many.
Nonfiction fiction?
It's like a high fantasy fiction book.
Oh, for real?
Yeah. It's like 600 pages. I'm like 200 in.
Damn, this guy's going to be reading Sanderson soon.
Yeah, I actually might. I'm actually
I want to start reading Sanderson.
People gas him up.
If you started reading, what is it? Fucking Will of Kings? Or Way of Kings?
Yeah.
I would probably start reading it.
Yeah, Brandon Sanderson, I've heard good stuff. But the same people glazing up Sanderson are talking highly about this series too.
Okay, good.
And the second book's supposed to come out this year. And so far, I like it quite a bit, but I still have like 400 pages. So we're going to see. I bought it for myself like around Christmas time because I wanted to see what was up with it.
That's what I fucking went to Barnes & Noble, I think like a day or two after, while they still had the hardcover sale going on. And I picked up Dracula because I was gassed about Nosferatu.
Oh, Nosferatu was
that movie. You watched it? Yeah. That movie fucked. Oh my god.
For Freak too, dog.
Dose for Free too, and it's exactly the same. Yeah, no, that was gas. So I picked up Dracula. I picked up Frankenstein because I just wanted to check it out.
Oh,
It
I
seems
haven't
really
read that
cool.
either yet, but I do have a copy.
And then I picked up Wuthering Heights, which I'm reading right now. That's just gas.
I loved Wuthering Heights. I
You read it?
I read it as a junior in high school.
Yeah.
For AP literature.
Damn, I'm like 150 pages in right now. That shit bangs.
What's bro's name?
Heathcliff.
He is brutal.
Oh my god, that guy is so angry. Everybody in that book sucks too.
The relentlessness of Heathcliff is so crazy. Wuthering Heights is a good read.
This dude just went for a homeboy sister. They just ran away. That's the chapter I'm on right now. And I'm like, oh shit, I'll be turning the page. But yeah.
Heathcliff's about that life. He's about that
he
life.
is there to destroy everyone's life.
Yeah.
Like he's moving in with her brother.
Yeah.
Shit's crazy.
Now, Nosferatu, though, is crazy. So many people did not understand the movie. It's about abuse. It's about abuse and
I
toxic
think there's a lot of
relationships.
different ways you can take it, but man, no, I was really disappointed to see kind of like a puritanical shift in some of the discourse from a lot of people. I wasn't expecting it to be Nos for Freak 2. I haven't read Dracula yet, so I don't know if that's in Dracula, but I was not expecting that shit. So it threw me off like a little bit, but I thought about it for a day. I sat with it, as you should with media.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh no, that banged actually. I thought about it, but no, I feel like there was a
Yeah.
lot of weird puritanical stuff going on.
Like discourse about the movie.
Yes.
Yeah, I think my takeaway was just that it was and like trigger warning because the movie is like very sexual, you know what I mean?
Very.
It's a young girl who feels alone and sad, who is preyed upon by a much older dude. He comes back later in life when she's about to get married, and he says, "No, you're actually mine."
Yeah.
And the only way to get him to stop is to give yourself over to him.
Yeah.
And he's like actively abusing and killing people in your life. Like
Yeah.
it's a movie about abuse.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I think there's also I was more towards I think it's more so about like shame and like the
True,
darker aspects of desire because I walked away the first time I watched it thinking it was like this is about abuse because I think that's where it's kind of leading you for most of the movie, but I couldn't accept that when it comes to it being framed that she's the hero for giving herself to him at the end because I feel like but it's a gothic romance, so it's like it could be that, but I think in my mind at least it sits a little bit better thinking okay, this is about shame and desire and just the darker aspects of it and kind of what it can do to you. But I'm not too hard.
I don't know.
I think it goes both ways.
I think it's just about abusive men. Like the only way she could get him to stop was by like giving herself over. Not
Yeah.
that that's like a good thing to do, but because like men are abusive.
it's like
and bad.
grooming.
Yeah. No,
the,
it is
the
grooming.
whole movie
She
is
was groomed.
literally she was groomed by Nosferatu.
Yeah.
This old Transylvanian noble.
But like the movie itself, like incredibly artistic.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah.
And
Shot
his voice,
so well.
His voice,
It's real.
yeah. Skarsgård.
I could gush about that.
Skarsgård
See,
went
this
crazy.
is why I say we'll do video essays to start a fucking another podcast.
Anyway, more important topic.
Yep.
Rocket League,
Joe Biden said, "What rank are you in Rocket League? All game modes.
Supersonic Legend.
SSL, baby. No, I will not carry you." No, I'm just kidding. We're like diamond and duos.
We don't try that hard though, you know. Just
Yeah,
whatever.
it's just like a
Just
casual
whatever,
thing.
doesn't
Like
matter.
shit, whatever. Like I hop on for a couple games, win all of them, and then like whatever.
Yeah.
Get bored because I'm dominating.
Yeah, exactly. Steven asks, "How do you resist the urge to run away from society and become one with the trees?"
I like the Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I like Wi-Fi. Namely, I can't run away because I don't think I'd be able to survive in the trees. You know what I mean?
I don't either. I'm not a bushcraft kind of guy.
I'm a city boy.
I'm a city boy. I need my creature comforts. I need coffee.
Yeah, and again, I think it just goes back to our other answers. Ultimately, history doesn't end. Gotta
Yeah.
keep pushing for better solutions and better outcomes.
Next one, also important question from Armando Arias. Are you big fans of the government?
No, I'm not.
30 on 30.
30. Not a big fan of the government. Next one from Gavin Garcia. How did you two meet? Already answered that one.
High school.
And how would you say your friendship has informed or influenced each other's politics?
Echo chamber.
I was going to say I'm a completely independent observer, independently arriving at these
Independently
conclusions. So opposite answers there.
Gas. Next question. Strudel, what are your favorite games of 2024?
Did anything come out in 2024?
I'm trying to think of what we got Helldivers.
Was that 24? Yeah, it was.
Yeah, that was 24. Honestly, it's probably Helldivers. I got Black Ops 6. I enjoy Black Ops 6. It's pretty fun. But you know, it's just same old fucking Call of Duty. Helldivers would probably be my favorite new game that I played in 24.
Kind of fell off though.
Yeah.
I know they've updated it.
It looks fun if we'd get back into it.
and I
but
haven't played it in a while.
fucking time.
But I remember the servers weren't working at first. It was a lot of fun when we did play it.
I can't think of anything else that came out this year.
I don't think there were that many like major releases in 2024.
I also just wasn't like super tapped in. I mean, Black Myth Wukong came out this year. Or in
It
2024.
didn't
I didn't
vibe
play
with me.
it though.
It just didn't vibe with
Yeah.
me. I'm sure it's good, but I just didn't.
Oh fuck! You know what? It's not a game, but the Elden Ring DLC. The Elden Ring DOC fucking consumed my life for weeks. Oh my! I'd get home from work and immediately hop on the game. No, my girlfriend wants to do something. Nope. I got to fight Radahn for the 17th time.
Yeah, I never beat it. It was too hard.
I just real? Gave you up. Stopped at Mesmer?
I got stuck at Mesmer. Yeah. I didn't have the patience for it at that time in my life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was like in March during like getting close to finals. I was like, I just can't focus on this.
I threw myself at Radahn so many times. Oh, I felt so euphoric when I finally beat him. Pre-nerf, by the way, with Big Sword. Shit, no magic.
I played, the first time I played Baldur's Gate 3 was over the summer of 2024, and that consumed a lot of time.
Yeah.
That game, my first playthrough was perfect.
That one Game of Year 2023, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It deservedly
counts. It counts for us.
We still haven't got this guy to the end, though.
Yeah, that's true. We got to lock in for that
one. But 2025 is the year of Grand Theft Auto 6.
Oh my God, that game is going to
for now at least. It might get delayed,
probably.
2025
is the year GTA 6 and JJK Season 3.
True.
So the later half of 2025 better be way better than how it's gotten off. Because this start is not meshing with me.
And we're getting the next Ghost of Tsushima game.
That's this year?
It should be, yeah.
Oh, Ghost of Young, but it's woke.
Yeah,
so I can't play it.
But it is woke.
It's on the woke game list, so I can't buy it.
Woman lead, I'm not buying that game.
No, it's not realistic. What do you mean she could beat up men?
Yeah, that's not real.
That's not realistic.
Women cannot do that.
Uh-huh.
This episode of Head in the Office is brought to you by Ground News.
Breaking news can often involve a whirlwind of misinformation, and if you want to get to the heart of a story quickly, our friends over at Ground News can help.
Ground News is a resource you can get on your phone or your computer that collects headlines and stories from around the world and puts them in one place to allow you to compare coverage, check political biases, and see how each publication is funded.
Using Ground News, you can see who's reporting on each story, what their political leanings are, and you can even see news that is going unreported by the right or the left. Ground News offers you an individual breakdown of the content that you've consumed so that you can be aware of your own media diet. Overall, it is a great tool to help understand how narratives are emerging on both sides of the political spectrum in real time.
If you want to help out the show, which we know you want to do, and get a discount on Ground News, go to check.ground.news/headintheoffice for 40% off. Link is also in the description. Their Vantage plan offers all the features we referenced and more.
Special thanks to Ground News for sponsoring this podcast. Now back to the show. Next one from Hella Jacked. Do you think we'll be able to vote in the next 2 and 4 years? I do.
Hopefully.
I do. If we don't, we got bigger problems to worry about.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, we had said a few times that like if Trump gets elected, there might not be elections again. And I think the possibility is still there. But I don't think he would stick his neck out to try to stop the elections in 2026. Yeah. I do think that if the fascist party develops enough, they will try to fuck with the election in 2028.
I think
it just depends on where they go.
I think if we see anything like real in 2026, it's just a crackdown on like making it harder to vote. It's voter ID, it's stuff like that. Damn near maybe even just closing down polling places in the black parts of Austin. You know what I mean?
I can see that happening.
Shit like that happening, gerrymandering and whatnot. And then in 2028, I think what comes of like voting being an issue is just what comes of Trump not being able to let go of power. So
yeah, and they are pretty dedicated to this idea that there's voter fraud anytime they lose at a national level now.
Yep.
So if you can interpret that as not being able to vote because your vote won't be counted, then yeah, I think there's a high possibility they will challenge election results in 28, as Trump was gearing up to do in Pennsylvania if he was about to lose. I mean, he was saying like days before the election that fucky stuff was going on with absentee ballots in Pennsylvania. Of course, he won Pennsylvania, so he got off that wave immediately. But if that happens at a national level, whoever it is, J.D. Vance, whoever, I think they will absolutely try to overturn the next election.
Yeah, there's a they've already manufactured a lot of consent for it. So.
Yeah, I mean, people didn't care last time in 2020, right?
Next one from Lila. Who do you want to run for governor in 2026?
Okay, who do we want?
I think I'd be fine if Pete ran for governor. I wouldn't
soured on Pete,
be happy with it. I'm soured on everybody from the Biden administration. I don't want to see them ever do politics again, but realistically, I think it would probably be Pete. If I want somebody though, man,
I don't know. I don't even know if
I need to tap into state politics more.
Yeah. I don't know. It's hard to know. I don't want to take Rashida Tlaib away from Congress, you know?
Oh, yeah.
I also don't know if she could win statewide.
I don't.
She's a pretty polarizing figure to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Hopefully not an Alyssa Slotkin type. Like, hopefully Haley Stevens doesn't run for governor or something, because they're basically the same person.
Yeah, that would suck, man.
I guess for now, Pete wouldn't be terrible,
Yeah,
but I'm sure there's someone better.
he'd just be a dude up there. But I'm holding out hope for a new candidate. I guess come this year. Oh my God, come
Someone
this
who
year,
isn't
yeah.
anti-immigrant, you know?
What, like end of the year, we're gonna start getting those announcements?
Probably. Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
Next one from Anonymous. Are you guys left or centrist?
A centrist.
I'll let you decide.
I believe that when there are two extremes, like you'll find the truth in the middle. I stand wholeheartedly true to that. Next one from Moss. Why does everything always suck?
It's some combination of capitalism, misogyny, and racism, probably.
Probably
Some kind of. Usually those three factors can explain basically anything bad that's happening.
Spoken succinctly.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Spoken succinctly.
Next one from Lily. What do y'all do outside of the pod? Like your IRL job already answered.
Research.
Next one, Benny, your local Italian listener. If you were to become president tomorrow, what's the first thing you'd pass on?
Rent
day one?
control. Again, it's rent control.
I'm putting ceilings. I'm putting price ceilings.
Exactly. You cannot charge more than fucking $1,500 for rent, and that's for a nice place, man. Let me tell you.
I'm cracking down on landlords. Kamala Harris flirted with the idea
Yep.
of putting price controls on things like food and rent, but I'm going to do it.
Yeah, I'm Sophia-style price controls. Straight up. Eggs are not going to be more than $1.
I'm a Harrisian. I'm following in the Harrisian tradition of price controls. Absolutely.
Oh, shit. Realistically, the things we said before, plus infrastructure, plus high-speed rail. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
High-speed rail. I'm sick of driving. Well, like commuting driving.
Oh, man. High-speed rail between like every major city in the country.
Yeah.
Come on. Like every state's got one big city, you know what I mean?
Yep.
If it's not just the capital. High-speed rail in between all those cities. And then for states
Beautiful.
with bigger cities like New York, you know, a couple of rail
Multiple.
lines.
It could be a hub,
Yeah.
if you will.
Yeah.
Man.
Like some people were posting like stats in the Discord the other day, but it's like our train system, like Amtrak, which is like the biggest private company we got for travel, takes so much longer to get from like however many miles than it takes in like China to get the same amount of
For real?
to travel the same amount of time or same amount of distance. Same for like even like Europe, you know, like those are the Western countries and they do it better than we do.
Where's the American exceptionalism? Mm-hmm. Where's the throwing everything to the wayside just to be the best at stuff? I thought that's what we were supposed to do.
Yeah.
I thought we literally fucking beat the devil in the fiddle or some shit, you know?
Yeah.
Where's that?
Well, I thought we were city upon a hill,
Uh-huh.
and it doesn't feel like it
damn.
these days.
City in a fucking valley. Oh my God. Fucking this next one from Kelson. What are your thoughts on the notion that Kamala Harris was inherently the accelerationist pick compared to all the third party candidates? Is there any discourse among the left to be had anymore outside of liberals versus literally everyone else? And are you guys familiar with the soy pill? You all should collab sometime.
I don't know the soy pill.
I also
Guessing that's a
don't know the
creator.
soy pill. Possibly another podcast.
Thoughts on
Possibly
Kamala Harris
competition.
as an accelerationist pick? I'm guessing because you mean like she loses and therefore we get the worst option and that accelerates
Yeah,
sort of political movements.
that's how I'm taking it.
I don't think it was intentionally that way. You know what I mean? Like I don't think Democrats are like, let's lose so things get worse so we get negative polarization onto our side. I don't think anyone's thinking that far into the future. It could be the case that her loss and Trump's win accelerates things. But as we've always said about accelerationism, there's no guarantee that things get better after you accelerate.
Yeah.
So I'm generally against it as a strategy for anything political.
Yeah. People are suffering for years and years and years and years before something finally gets better. And things often don't get better because they were so worse. It's just because people just start thinking right.
Yeah.
And they think right because they're told to think right because of rhetoric and messaging.
And that's important.
And that's really important.
It's important,
That's kind of
folks.
what we do here.
Next question from KC. I often hear the argument from liberals, moderates, and conservatives that the left has gone too woke with trans issues and identity politics, etc., and this is what pushes people away from the left. They'll say things like, the people that push people out of the left are people on the left themselves. In response to this, I've heard others say, it shouldn't be that easy to drive someone away from taking the right stances. Both of these arguments, in my opinion, have their merits, but they also seem to have severe weaknesses. Is there a more nuanced take? As always, I condemn Hamas and all political violence.
Yes. Okay. I think it's really nobody likes a woke scold, and nobody likes like the constant like leftist purity testing that goes on.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's like the majority of the left. I think that's just like a small fraction of people who are online and really loud. I think it's true that like if you truly believe in these things, the woke scolds won't really drive you away. It'll just like kind of make you more quiet. But also like I just like don't agree with the premise from liberals, moderates, and conservatives that people are being driven away from the left because of woke scolds and because maybe the left has gone too far on trans issues.
Yeah.
Because that stuff didn't register in the general.
Exactly. Like there's no empirical data to suggest that people voted for Donald Trump because they're sick of like leftist cultural issues. It was inflation and her association with Joe Biden.
Yeah.
And maybe some like latent racism because she was a black woman.
And immigration.
Yeah, and immigration, right? Like it had nothing to do with like leftist, the leftist position on trans issues or something like that.
If bathroom bills like resonated on the national stage, then maybe there's an argument to be had there that the left has gone too far for the general public when it comes to these things. But I just don't think we've seen that.
Yeah. And over the last decade or so in polling, we've seen people become a lot more accepting of trans folks and the LGBTQ broadly. I think we're seeing some slippage there because conservatives have sort of been overwhelming in their hatred for LGBTQ people, and the left hasn't done enough to push back, or like the liberal left hasn't done enough to push back. But I don't think that's leftists' fault. And if you're talking in terms of like interpersonal relationships and not wanting to push people away from the left in that case, I think that, yeah, like Gage said, don't be a woke scold because that can be annoying. But when people say something that's problematic or just outright bigoted, just remind them like, hey, we like don't say shit like that.
Yeah, like that's
that
corny.
Sucks.
That's just corny or not funny.
Like that sucks. Like I want to be your friend or I want to be close to you because you're a family member or whatever. But like that's stupid, and here's why.
Yeah, no, literally, it's just don't be annoying about it.
Yeah.
And not being annoying doesn't mean compromising your own morals. It doesn't mean not like standing up when bad things are said in your presence. It just means like don't be like annoying about it.
Yeah.
Just like hit him with a, hey dog, that's just not funny.
Yeah,
and that's what's worked the most for me.
And like you're not like morally responsible for the moral positions of other people, you know? Like if someone in your life is just outwardly bigoted and won't stop, I'm okay with that being a deal breaker.
100%.
Like you don't have to stay around that, especially if you're a member of said marginalized groups. You don't got to stay around that person.
Yeah, if it's somebody you want in your life, I would say meet them where they're at. And then if they're showing that they are changing, then yeah, you can keep going. But if you don't want them there, it's not your responsibility to try to convert them.
Yeah.
And it won't work. Like that shit just does not really work.
And of course, on a more systemic level, as we're interested in, like these individual actions don't matter as much to me as like the messaging as a whole matters. And in that case, the left isn't too quote unquote woke on trans issues because that didn't decide any political outcome. Like there's just no evidence to support that idea.
And it just wasn't an issue that the left was talking about.
Yeah. And like libs caved.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like liberals have a far bigger voice in the mainstream media or in media generally than leftists do. And liberals didn't talk about trans issues at all in this election. Kamala Harris ran away from the issue. She said, "I'll enforce the law."
Exactly.
That's a non-issue, or it's a non-answer.
Register. They didn't make the campaign anything about it. Like it's just that's not a thing.
Yeah.
At least I do not think. This one from Ben from Madison, Wisconsin.
Real.
So Madison, Wisconsin. If you want to see Ben, if you had the money and power of Elon Musk, what stupid tech product would you invent?
Man, if I had the money and power of Elon Musk, I'd be out of here.
Oh yeah, no, I'm chilling. I think Christian Devine said it best in a TikTok he made. He said, "If I had $1 billion, I'm fucking on a yacht."
Yeah, exactly. Are you kidding? If I had that much money and power, I'm not meddling in politics. And if I ever did, I'm literally a shadowy figure pulling the strings from behind.
Absolutely.
I'm not making myself known. I'm not putting myself in the crosshairs.
If I had $500 million, dog, you'll never see from me. You'll never hear from me again.
I'm set forever.
I'm enjoying that money.
If I had the money and power of Elon Musk, I guess if I was Elon Musk and I was sort of compelled to do stupid shit because, you know, that's kind of just how he is. I don't know.
Fuck, what would I pretend to invent?
I mean, he's pretended to invent like
electric car,
an electric car, an alternative to subways with the fucking Hyperloop.
Yeah,
literally, it's just the worst subway station. You know what I mean? He's pretended that he was the inventor of like the Tesla company, which he wasn't. Of course, he was not the founder of that. I don't know. He pretends to be the one making the rocket ships, and he's not.
Like, I can't even think of what I would like pretend to invent because it's just so lame. It's just so lame what he does.
Pretend to invent like a high-level Path of Exile character.
Pretend.
Seems like that's what he's doing nowadays, lying about his, I don't know, his prowess at video games.
God damn.
Why does he do that?
I don't know.
It's such a waste of time.
And it's like, to be that high of a level at any video game, that's got to be your life. Like, you got to be streaming that shit 24/7, and that's how you make your money. Dog, so are you doing that or are you running your companies?
Yeah.
You're doing neither, realistically. But shit, if I, what would I invent? Something good.
Yeah. Well, and it's like on the video game thing, like he could have just said, I'm too busy for video games because I'm running all these companies, and people would have glazed him.
He could have been trash at the fucking game.
Yeah.
And people would say, well, he's so busy doing all this that actually he's really good for how much time he can put in.
Yeah. Instead, he invented a narrative that no one can bail him out from.
Yep. Yep. That he had to say he is the highest level player. Whatever. Especially in games like that. Like, it's not even to just like discredit like PEX, but like those kind of RPGs are entirely different than like the guys who are good at like shooters. You still got to put in same hours to be like really good at shooters, but it's a different ballgame. It's like algebra and calculus. You know what I mean? Oh my God.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why he did that, and I feel like this is a pretty mainstream take because what's his name, Charlie, has the same position. Yeah, and I feel like he's pretty much the median voter to some extent. So to know that he's getting millions of views shitting on Elon Musk for this very topic, I think that is a safe mainstream position to take.
I agree.
Absolutely should not have done that. Next question from Asked Her. They say, out of any of the leading political figures this year, favorites, least favorites, most impactful, talked about on the pod, etc., who comprises your dream and nightmare blunt rotation? Already did it.
We answered it.
So you got your question answered. Next one from Walter then.
Yes. If you could afford it, where would you move to get out of this place? I like Michigan.
I feel like it's pretty climate safe. You know what I mean?
I do like Michigan. I don't know. Maybe I'd live in big city. Maybe I'd live in New York if I had money.
Yeah, but like New York might be underwater soon. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And if you light a building on fire in like Detroit, the entire city doesn't burn down, which is good.
Yep.
And, you know, no shade towards LA or anything, but it's just climate change, just to see the effect of climate change.
I would not move anywhere in the country that I got to buy disaster insurance for.
Maybe like Chicago.
Chicago would be cool.
Chicago would be pretty
Chicago would be sick. Yeah, I'm a fan of like Chicago, New York, those kind of places. Liberal run cities, Democrat run cities.
Democrat run cities.
I suppose you could say. I haven't really ever thought about moving anywhere out of the country.
Yeah, maybe,
I'm a red-blooded American.
Minnesota seems like a cool state because, you know, free school lunch and stuff like that. But I don't know much about like the geography.
Feels like there's less in Minnesota than there is in Michigan.
Definitely not Ohio.
Michigan on top of Midwest states.
And I don't want to move to the south because I don't like the heat.
Exactly.
And the heat's going to get worse.
I'm comfortable. And I wouldn't move like further like west.
Yeah.
I don't want to move to like a Montana. So
yeah,
I'm an East Coast guy. What can I say?
Next one from Olive. Are there any political topics that you genuinely have lost hope on ever changing? Like feeling doomer. I feel like I'm pretty hope-pilled on a majority of issues, but I think boomers being tricked by AI is one of those issues that I fully have zero hope in. I feel like it's only ever going to get worse. I condemn all political violence, by the way. I try not to be doomer on anything.
Yeah.
The advancement of AI is troubling, though, because generative AI is really terrible for everybody involved, I think.
It just sucks.
It's bad for the environment. It's tricking old people. It's making young kids that use it stupid. It's really bad. Like, I think the ability to, like, write an essay is very important.
Yep.
And people that use ChatGPT or some other generative text AI to do that for them are missing an essential skill for life.
Yeah.
And that's not great.
Not
because you'll need to like write a 5-paragraph essay at work, but because making arguments is a good thing to know how to do.
Being able to write a good, compelling essay is not being able to write it. It's being able to think those thoughts.
Yes.
Like it's being able to. You write the essay to prove to whoever's grading it that you can think and that you can make and construct arguments. Like that. That's all it is. And a lot of people can't do that even without AI. And I feel like it's just going to get worse with AI and ChatGPT and everything. I've seen people are using ChatGPT to write their fucking grocery lists. Like, dog,
just look at the pantry.
Open the fridge.
Open the fridge and look.
The fridge. Like you don't need to be doing this for that. Yeah, AI sucks. I am somewhat doomer on AI. If it's like a political issue, I'm not really doomer on any political issues. The closest one would be immigration, though.
Oh, yeah. That's looking bad. Like, I think a fundamental aspect of like leftist political thought is being optimistic that like things can improve, right? Like if you don't believe things can improve, there's not much of a point in believing in an ideology that wants to improve things. But when so many people hate immigrants so much and are so cool with violence against them, what do you do?
That's kind of, it's like I'm really fighting from the backfield here. Yeah. I'm really trying to claw any space I can out of this argument.
Democracy is the best possible political system, I think, but one of its shortcomings is some people can be very dumb and easily manipulatable. Everyone is susceptible to propaganda, and because Democrats haven't pushed back on it. Not me, though. Yeah, well, because Democrats haven't pushed back on it, here we are on the issue. And
doing the propaganda in the other way.
Yeah, it's not great. But, you know, things will get better one day.
It'll get better. Eventually, we'll get better, hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully soon.
Yeah.
but it will be better eventually. This next question from Dorian. Why do you think The Batman 2022 is the best Batman movie?
It's cool.
Because it is.
It's cool.
Greg Fraser on a camera?
The music goes crazy.
Greg Fraser on a camera, the bom, 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 bom. Fucking even Robert Pattinson as the Batman, so much more compelling than Christopher Nolan.
The red movie poster.
The red movie poster bangs.
movie,
It's bringing back good movie posters.
Uh-huh.
Just everything about the movie is so nice.
Batman, Bruce is depressed.
Bruce is depressed.
I like my heroes depressed, okay?
They didn't do the shitty thing that like a lot of like modern movies have been doing where it's like, oh, the villain has a good point and then they just go off the rails at the end. The Riddler's arc is very well constructed. It's very well constructed why he decides to blow up the city. It's not pulled out of nowhere like some people claim it is. And it's just a more enjoyable watch than The Dark Knight even.
Yeah.
The Dark Knight can be kind of drab. It's still a great movie. Like, if we're going back to the Attack on Titan conversation, The Dark Knight is a movie that's good with conservative messaging.
Yeah.
The whole movie is an argument for the Patriot Act.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot about that.
It becomes like an argument for why the Patriot Act is actually like okay by the end of it when he hacks everyone in Gotham's phone to catch the Joker.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? But the Batman doesn't do any of that shit. It is a good fucking movie. If you gave me like a 30-minute like thing, I could come to you in like 2 weeks with my actual formal thoughts about it. But man, that shit's
in fact,
so
by
good.
the end of the Batman, the 2022 version, I feel like you realize that Batman's individual action is insufficient in helping the city.
Oh, yes, that's the other thing. I wrote an essay about this in college.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, by the end of the Batman comes to the conclusion that vengeance for vengeance sake is never going to do anything. You need broader systemic changes. His role in being just a vigilante isn't what's going to solve it. He comes to the conclusion that you can still be Batman in the meantime because there are immediate problems to be addressed that maybe need to be addressed by extra judicial means. But ultimately, he needs to work to change the city and change the structures that allow these things to happen in the first place.
Yeah. And that's a good message.
It's a great movie, man.
It's
It's
really
so good.
good.
And The Penguin on HBO,
I haven't watched
phenomenal.
that one
You
yet.
gotta watch The Penguin.
Is
man.
that good?
It's so good. It's the best. Like, it is arguably the best show to come out of 2024. Maybe one of the best pieces of media to come out of 2024.
Damn, I thought it was just one of those like spin-off shows. Like, you know, we got all the Marvel spin-offs.
No.
Some of them sucked.
It is phenomenal.
Okay.
It is so good. The entire runtime. You gotta watch it.
I still gotta watch Dune Prophecy too. The sort of
I heard it
prequel
wasn't
show.
that good.
Oh,
I haven't
really?
watched it either. I heard it wasn't great.
Maybe I won't invest in it then.
Yeah.
Who knows? Anon asks, what does head in the office mean? Like boss or like head?
Oh, it means like come into the office. That's it.
Yeah. It means like, or it could also mean that like mentally you're in the office.
Yeah, like my head is in the office. Like I'm always thinking about the Oval Office. You know what I'm always thinking about politics. So
It's not a reference to the impeachment of Bill Clinton.
Yeah, that's all that it means.
Yep.
Next one from Thomas Z. If the U.S. were to balkanize, would the lines be drawn according to watersheds or college athletic conferences? I gotta say college athletic conferences. I think there's a stronger tie between those in the Big Ten than there is between those in, say, the Flint watershed.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't know if it's hard to imagine the U.S. balkanizing. I mean, we're already kind of like split up, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
By state, but not in the same way that the Baltic states are.
And I mean, when you split it along conferences, like you kind of get the split between like Midwest, East Coast, South, and shit, like SEC down south. Obviously, like conferences have kind of. If I like looked more into it, I could have a more intelligently formed rant about how conferences seem kind of fucking stupid now. The way that like UCLA and Washington just joined the Big Ten. Why?
Yeah.
That's just like excessive travel time for really UCLA and Washington as they constantly have to just fly over to the fucking Midwest. Like it just seems weird. I feel like conferences should be regional anyway. So
They should be contingent land masses.
Yep.
They should not be separated.
and Big Ten, way more than 10.
Yeah.
There's like 16 of us now.
What the hell?
I don't understand what happened.
We need a department of athletic conference efficiency.
Absolutely. That should be Vivek's first fucking order of business,
Honestly,
man.
why is he running for government?
At least the SEC is honest and they didn't try to put a name on it. Like, does the Pac-12 even have 12?
Probably not.
Oklahoma just left the Pac-12, so probably not. Like,
NFL better.
NFL better.
Thomas Z asks, how do you guys talk about political topics with non-leftists without unintentionally coming across as condescending? I try my best, but sometimes people act like I'm lecturing them if I try to explain my viewpoints. I think part of it is just kind of knowing a time and place.
Yep.
Sometimes people might just ask you a small question and not want, like, you know, a lecture on quantitative easing in the Federal Reserve. You know what I mean? But when it comes to like just having political conversations and not being condescending, try to meet people where they're at. And if you're having a hard time discerning what they really believe, just use the Socratic method and ask why.
Yeah. It's heavy emphasis on just meet people where they're at.
Yeah.
And don't try to start into like this, and that. I don't avoid political conversations with like other people, like stuff like that, but I'm not initiating them. If anything, like maybe I'll try and like, if they say something that I think is a little sus, I'll try and like goad them into saying more, just so I can kind of ascertain what they believe. But if they're not giving up what do you think about this issue? Or I'm not interjecting and being like, oh, this is what I think. Unless it's like somebody who's like, hey, I want you in my life and I don't want you to have awful opinions.
Yeah, unless
That's
they
a
say
different
something
story.
like egregiously wrong.
Yeah.
If they say something totally wrong, you can sort of interject. But I think a lot of times people are just like saying shit.
Yeah.
Median voter.
Exactly.
You know what I
Exactly. Median voter type shit. Most people have vastly incoherent beliefs.
Yeah. But I think it is good to learn how to just talk to a normal person. If the left has any hope for like the future of its own movement, if you can even call the left a movement at this point, you got to be able to talk to average people in a way that doesn't make them feel small or stupid or anything like that. And I think in your head formulating maybe like 2 or 3 positions that you'd really want to get across in a normal way during that conversation would be good. Like if you're talking about labor or you're talking about the economy, and they say like, yeah, inflation sucks right now, maybe loop in why you think unions would be a good solution to a lot of the economic problems we're facing, or talk about corporate greed in a way that's easily understandable. Like, well, if you look at how inflation actually played out, these corporations made record profit, and I think that's unfair when we're struggling. Something like that. You know what I mean?
If I'm talking about inflation with somebody, I'm not talking about global supply shocks.
Of course,
I'm talking about Pringles cost more. And Pringles made record profits.
And I'm
why
saying
they cost more.
Less chips in the tube.
Less chips in the tube. What's going on?
Tube is smaller than before.
Like that's how you handle those conversations. You don't need to go into actually, when you consider global supply chains and shipping containers went up like 40,000 times what they were before, and global shipping and blah, 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 blah. No.
You lose people.
Why no Pringle?
Yeah. Why no Pringle?
Why I got less Pringle?
Why less Pringle when they're making more money? Explain that.
I'm not making more money. But they are. It's ridiculous.
And I think you'll find common ground with a lot of people if you make the argument very simply and broadly that the economy is unfair and too few people have way too much wealth.
Yep.
A lot of people will agree with you on that. And then it's just a matter of orienting them towards policy decisions that will help the common person rather than things like mass deportation as a solution.
I avoid the buzzwords.
Yeah.
I do try to avoid the buzzwords like a plague because they're just things that people are programmed to just immediately get defensive when it comes to them. So that's that. But next question from Anonymous. What do you guys think will happen in the next 10, 20, and 50 years? Will there be a future at all?
Yes, humanity will continue.
Yeah. Probably some good things, probably some bad things.
Probably some good things, probably some bad things. Maybe the fall of the United States in our lifetimes. Who knows? Because you are asking me to predict during my lifetime, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully in 50 years I get to retire. I'll be what, 74? So I better be retired by then.
I better be retiring on a fucking fat stack of money. You know what I'm saying?
I don't even want to be in my mid-20s, let alone my 70s.
Next one from Aiden. What is the official Hito economic policy? What brand of socialism are the boys?
I haven't even thought about that in like so long, honestly. Because I feel like there was a point where it's like, God, what would I call myself? Like a market socialist or something like that?
Yeah.
But it's just like, with the way things have been panning out, I have felt like personally like interrogating that has been like more of like
waste of time.
Yeah, it's just not for me right now. I firmly just think of myself as just a progressive.
Yeah.
Like that's how I communicate myself to other people. I don't care too much for like intellectualizing it or finding specific like ideological labels, especially because Trump just won.
Yeah, I think sort of defining yourself along niche ideological lines is good for when your movement is strong.
Yep.
Because then you can delineate like who agrees with you. Of course, you shouldn't put too much stock in these labels because they can be deceiving or unnuanced. You know what I mean? Like if you see someone that is an anarchist and you're a socialist, you shouldn't be like, oh, anarchist, that's a child. You know what I mean? Like you shouldn't just dismiss them in that way. But yeah, I also don't really think of the labels.
Yeah, the anarchist
is
a child.
I don't think of the labels too much anymore either. Just like a generic orthodox socialist or Marxist is fine.
Yeah.
I think the more crucial aspect is just being able to explain why economic democracy is an important political project, right? Like we recognize political equality is important. But very few people will talk about how the economy is not democratic whatsoever. In fact, it's an oligarchy, even in a better form of capitalism than we have right now. It's ruled by a group of corporations or a group of people that have ownership over all of the resources, even if we don't say it like that. Very much not a democracy. And And so my sort of core tenet, or one of the core beliefs, is that the economy, just as with politics, should be democratized and owned equally. Otherwise, those with more of it will exercise more power over everybody else.
Yeah, I just want the workers to have more to share.
Yeah.
And more of the power and more agency in how they spend fucking 40, 50, 60 hours of their week.
Yeah. And once we get to a point where we actually have political power to wield, maybe then we can talk about the more niche and specifics.
Then I'll hit the books a little harder.
But until then, there's not much use because we don't know what the future will look like and what we'll even be able to do. I mean, Marx omitted a lot of important details, or what people think are important details about communism, because he pretty explicitly said, like, I don't know what the future generations is going to try to do, and I don't want to get out ahead of that and like ruin what the projects they're trying to accomplish. You could consider that a cop-out for him. For
An intellectual cop-out.
Yeah, for him, like, not sort of articulating what his vision of government and politics would look like. But that, I mean, I think that's fair enough, right? You don't know what the future will look like, and you don't want to give any specific details because it's up to the people of the future.
I'm also just personally jaded by like opening up comment sections on like a leftist YouTube video and people being like, "Oh, this guy's a market socialist," or "Oh, this guy's a anarchist, this guy's a whatever the fuck," and it's just like, the liberals aren't even winning.
Right.
The liberals aren't even doing it. The fucking Democrats aren't. The little d Democrats can't even do anything. So I think it's I don't like the discourse. I'm jaded by it.
I mean, maybe market socialist, libertarian socialist. I mean, you could pick a label probably.
Yeah.
As long as it's not tanky.
Exactly.
I am decidedly not that.
I am decidedly anti them. Yeah. I think if you're this far along in the podcast, you're pretty much with us on that one.
Yeah,
so.
Very much not that. But if we ever return to a time where it's like 2019, 2020, and people are having those conversations, maybe then we'll weigh in.
Yep.
But the culture is not going in that direction. So, not great.
I like progressive.
Yeah.
I like progressive. And progressive isn't immediately alienating when you're talking to a conservative.
Oh, yeah. I wouldn't tell someone. I wouldn't go up and be like, well, I'm a socialist. So,
Yeah.
Because that immediately flips a switch in a lot of people's heads.
I think I did that like twice and it didn't work out. So
Right. Because
I learned my lesson.
People associate socialism with just authoritarianism in general.
Stalin, Mao, shit like that.
So, I'm not that.
I'm not that.
And people don't really get that. So, yeah.
Man, this next one from Saturn. So I live in the South, Florida, and I'm a meteorology major, and the amount of climate change denial that's around is insane. I wanted to know if you have the same issues up in the Midwest.
I don't think so. I mean, I don't know.
I think there's like regular, just like people who are conservative inclined, just are less susceptible to climate change narratives. But I'm also not in the world. You know what I mean? I'm not a meteorologist like yours, so I'm not picking up on it.
True.
What I do pick up on is like the food science stuff that people say, just like with the biochemistry background, the GMO stuff that people say, it's like, nah, this is bullshit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't pick up too much. People aren't really openly not anti-climate change around me.
And climate change isn't that much of like a policy issue at that point in terms of salience. You know what like people aren't actively talking about like investments in green energy and stuff like that.
Yeah.
People really weren't even under the Biden administration.
Yeah.
So I don't really get I don't hear much talk about climate change generally, let alone denial. I'm sure there's plenty of climate change deniers, but you are in Florida.
Yeah, there's confounding variables there that make your experience pretty bad.
You're in a state touched by climate change, or I guess pounded by climate change maybe. And so you're going to talk about it more there, and as such, you're going to hear more people in denial of it.
Yeah.
So, not great. Also, it's a Republican state. At least at this point it is, and it probably will be for the foreseeable future, so not great. Next one, didn't we already answer this? Who's our Marvel Rivals main?
Nobody. I abstain.
Final question from Ian. Do y'all hang out with each other outside of podcasts and streams?
No.
Nope.
I fucking hate this guy.
Never seen this dude before.
This is a coworker.
This podcast is ran by the State Department.
Yes, we were just put together.
Yeah.
I put in a fucking application. They paired me up with this guy. I said, oh, God, brother, fucking give me a break. I knew this guy in high school. We ran in similar circles. Come on.
We met the same recruiter days apart, and they just linked us together. Showed up in our fucking Instagram DMs, and we just got linked together. Yeah, it was rough.
Fucking ridiculous. So thanks for listening.
But I think that ends the Q&A.
Yeah, I hope we've been interesting people for episode 3.
Thank you for dropping all of your questions. We love you.
Yes, we do.
Thank you for allowing us to do this, and
have a great week.
Long live TikTok.